So I'm definitely part of the group that does not really want to see any more of this stuff, guys. I think we've spent enough money over there, and specifically with nothing in return. I don't really see why we should continue to put our situation specifically at risk, even if it's just financially. Right? So if there is a ceasefire that's going to be in play, I definitely cannot wait for that to actually happen so we can get out of that region specifically, in that manner at least. Right? But let's go and see where this goes, guys. Vladimir Putin responds to ceasefire proposal. Let's jump into it. This is a suggestion via a channel member, guys.
Vladimir Putin says he supports the US-led ceasefire deal for Ukraine. The Russian president insists, though, he must talk to US President Donald Trump before agreeing to any deal.
I'm sorry, guys. Wait. Look at how this man turned his head, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to,
Supports the US-led ceasefire
look at this.
deal for Ukraine. The Russian president insists, though, he must talk to US President Donald Trump before agreeing to any deal. He says he still has reservations about a ceasefire, including how it would be enforced on the 1,000-kilometre front line of the conflict.
We agree with the proposals for the ceasefire, but our position is based on the assumption that the ceasefire would lead to a long-term peace, something that would remove the initial reasons for the crisis. How are we going to resolve the issues of control or verification? How can we be guaranteed that none of this is going to happen in the future?
During an Oval Office meeting with the NATO general this morning, which only just wrapped up actually, US President Donald Trump says Vladimir Putin's comments were promising but not complete.
We have to get this war over with, and you'll be back to a normal, much more normal life. And maybe we're close. We're getting words that things are going okay in Russia, and it doesn't mean anything until we hear what the final outcome is. But they have very serious discussions going on right now with President Putin and others, and hopefully they all want to end this nightmare.
And the president just wrapped up that meeting with the NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, which covered a range of issues from Ukraine to European trade and the annexation of Greenland. Mark Stone was there.
Was a Trump-dominated news conference. I think like probably 90% of that was Donald Trump talking, and actually a lot of it had nothing to do with NATO. It had nothing to do with the guy that was sitting on his right. It was free-flowing as we have become used to. But on Ukraine, I mean that news conference, what you've just watched, happened about an hour ago now. They're now having lunch inside the building here, but it happened just after the news conference in Moscow with Putin. So things have kind of been moving in tandem, and I think probably over lunch they will have caught up in detail with what Vladimir Putin said in Moscow, and potentially what Steve Witkoff, Donald Trump's negotiator-in-chief, will have been outlining and may still be outlining at his meeting in Moscow with Putin as well. There was discussion about a phone call. Donald Trump said that he would take a phone call from Vladimir Putin. We know Putin said that he'd like to iron out some of the details behind this 30-day ceasefire, potentially in a phone call with Putin. You know, things are so unpredictable in this Trump White House that you could imagine a scenario where Putin decides with Witkoff to call Donald Trump now. I mean, you could even imagine a scenario where they might have that call and the NATO Secretary General is there as well. I mean, these are the sorts of things that world leaders and leaders of alliances like NATO need to prepare themselves for when they go into these meetings. But from Mark Rutte's perspective, I guess it's worth remembering that he's not the leader of a nation at the moment. So he is subservient to Donald Trump in that respect. So you wouldn't expect him to have anything other than praise for Donald Trump. And every time he spoke, it seemed to be to hat tip to Trump and say, what you have done for NATO, what you have done in breaking the deadlock on Ukraine is all to be respected.
Vladimir Putin says.
All right, guys. When it comes down to the ceasefire itself, like kind of reading over some of the the demands, let's say, and stipulations, because I've never seen a time where someone who was on like the opposite end, basically the end that really cannot do anything but kind of by themselves to change the course of this, at least, is making all of the demands. I think that Putin most likely is going to do uh, most of it. I'd think, I'm sure, right? But you have to understand that there's going to be definitely a rebuttal to anything that's being basically asked of Russia, because again, Russia is the force that's not beatable in that region, specifically by the place that's being currently invaded. You can't beat them. So what's going to make them stop? You have to give them something, right? And obviously, he also just said here, Putin, referred to Putin. The ceasefire itself has to cover even the reasons why they're there doing this in the first place, right? So, like, if you are not going to stop whatever it is, right, because there was really no context in this statement, right? But if you're not going to do anything about the causes, then that may not actually cause a ceasefire. Keep this in mind here. I'm not like super partial with Putin to Putin in the first place here. So a good amount of what he's actually stating doesn't seem like it may, if he says he's going to stop, I'm not sure he's actually going to stop. That's basically what I'm trying to say here, guys. And I'm not sure it's going to end just because he says it's ending, if that makes any sense here, guys. I'm not sure he's the most trustworthy individual that has ever existed or ran any type of nation, guys. All right? But guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think. You guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly.